police would call me on the radio because they would go by and they couldn't see me in the middle of the gang that was around me to check on my welfare.
So can you do your job when you're surrounded by, as you said, a gang of people?
No.
Have any of the defendants ever touched you?
There was an incident with Graham Colson grabbing my arm when I went to take one of his cards off somebody's car. He didn't hurt me or anything, but he did grab my arm. I told him to let go of me, and he did.
So he didn't have permission to touch you?
No. And there's been other times when they brushed by me, bumped into me.
Now, there's different types of touching. There's like a mother's caress when she's holding a baby, and there's a whole range. When Mr. Colson touched you, was that a friendly touching, or was that something that put you in fear?
No, he grabbed my arm to stop me from trying to take the card off the car, and he grabbed my wrist.
Do you feel safe when that happened?
No,
Can you focus on doing your job when somebody grabs you?
no,
Have any of the defendants ever stopped in your path or obstructed you from moving in any direction while you're doing your job?
yes.
And who's done that?
James Cleveland, there's one particular incident. It's in here somewhere, but he was walking in front of me on Main Street, and it was a Saturday morning, and he slowed down, and I asked him if he could either get out of my way or speed up his pace, and he said he was walking at a comfortable pace that he was comfortable with, and that he wasn't bothering me. And I then again asked him again if he would please get out of my path, and he didn't, so I called the Keene Police Department.
And what happened then?
And they came, and I didn't stay while they talked with him. I left.
Have you ever been yelled at?
Yeah, there was another incident of James yelling at me on April 27th. We were in the calm lot, and I will. And we were in the calm lot, no, it was Gilbo West, where it's reserved parking. And it made him angry because he couldn't stop me from writing on his tickets because there's no meters there. He said to me, don't you know that these people are at a funeral? You could make your day a little better by not ticketing. Look at all the empty spaces. They aren't hurting anybody. I asked him to please go and leave me alone. He goes, well, I have to stand here and give them the green papers to tell them how to fight a ticket. His voice kept getting louder and louder, and he kept using the F word. You know, the more madder he got, the more red in the face he got, the more the F word was used. And after I got done ticketing, I walked across the street to to Combe Lot, where my car was parked, and he followed me over, and the kids at the skate park approached him and told him to leave me alone. And he started to talk with them, and he was calling me a effing thief, and I got into the car, and I drove away while he stayed there to talk, and I went to the police station and talked to one of the officers.
You either have to sit down or leave.
Okay, thank you.
So Jane, somebody's yelling at you. Say they're saying something nice, like you're a great parking enforcement officer, and they're close to you and they're following you and they're yelling and screaming at you. Would that be upsetting to you?
If they were telling me I was great,
If they were screaming, they're in your face and they're yelling at you. I mean,
Objection, foundation, there's no discussion, no representation. First of all, it's a leading question, but beyond it, there's no representation that he's yelling in her face.
well, then, I'll rephrase the question. If somebody is yelling at you vocally, they're screaming, and they're following you, can you focus on doing your job?
no,
Does it matter what they're saying?
no.
So you can't focus on the job regardless of the content of their speech.
Correct.
Thank you. Have you ever been followed on a bike?
Yes.
Who's followed you on a bike?
James Cleveland has followed me to the police station before on his bicycle. Garrett makes it a daily practice to follow me on his bicycle. It's very distracting when we're down in town though, because I'm always looking in my mirror to try to find out where he is, because I don't want him to get hurt, and I don't want to run over him, and I try to stay on, you know, the right side of the traffic so that he's not crossing into traffic and putting himself in danger.
So you have to dedicate a portion of your energy and attention now to safety concerns. You ever been followed in a car?
Yes.
Who's followed you in a
James
car?
Cleveland follows me all the time in his car when I was working Saturdays.
Anybody else?
Garrett has a few times. Usually there's one car and they're all in it, and they follow me around.
And when you say they're all in it, who are you referring to? The defendants?
Usually, yes, usually, with the exception of Peter and Ian.
When they're following you on a bike or following you in a car, have they ever tried to stop you from going anywhere? Gotten in your way?
No, I don't believe they have.
We just watched the video when Mr. Gibbons was testifying. Unfortunately, you didn't have the opportunity to come up and look at it, but I'll represent, and defense counsel can chime in if he has any objections to this. That in the video, Garrett Ian was wearing a radio, a walkie-talkie. Have you seen Garrett Ian wear that?
Yes,
Have you seen any other defendants use radios?
yes.
And what do you see them do with the radios?
They usually will walk up to me, and then especially Graham, he does it all the time. He'll walk up to me and then he'll get on the radio and say, I'm with Jane and wherever, whatever the location is.
Have you seen Ian Freeman use a radio?
I think there was only one day, that when there was a whole group of them out, that he had a radio.
And he was radioing back and forth with them?
Yeah.
We talked earlier about Graham Colson grabbing your arm. That had to do with you removing a card from the windshield, a card from the windshield of a car, correct?
Oh, yes, sorry, yes.
Can you describe what that card was?
They have these little, look like little business cards that tell people that they've been saved from a parking ticket. And they put them on the windshields of the cars that they put money in the meter.
And for the record, do you recall seeing Exhibit 4 on the first day of this hearing, which was an exhibit labeled Robin Hood of Keene card? I'll show it to you.
Yes,
You need me to come closer, can you see this okay?
I
from
can
there?
see that.
Is that the card that you've seen the defendants place on their cars?
Yes.
Okay. Be clear, who have you seen using these cards?
All of them,
All of them? All of
All of
each
the-
of the individual defendants, is that what you're saying?
yes.
Have you ever been followed across the street?
Yes,
Have you been followed across the street in a crosswalk?
yes,
What about outside of the crosswalk?
yes,
When you're crossing a street, do you consider that a safety risk if you're being followed?
Yes.
Have you ever had to run away from any of the defendants?
In the beginning, when there was a whole gang of them, and like I said, there's been some that aren't listed in this proceeding. And I would run.
And May, I'd like to turn your attention to the pictures that we've been reviewing this morning. Could open that up for me to the first page.
Give me the exhibit number to the report group pictures. I'm sorry.
Exhibit 7, Friday.
Exhibit 7, yes, Friday.
Okay, we're looking at the page that's marked page 1. Can you tell me what this picture is a picture of?
It looks like it is crossing the street on Roxbury Street at the crosswalk.
Is that you?
Yes.
You know who's taking this, or who is filming this, who captured this image?
Well, just that it says here it was Garrett, Garrett. I don't remember that particular day, they all kind of run together.
When they're crossing the street with you, any one of the defendants, is this about the proximity that you've observed? Is this
Mhm.
characteristic of that?
Yep.
Let's turn to page 2. Again, if you could just identify who this is for the record and what it is that you're seeing.
It looks like it's the same place, is it, Roxbury Street? I've made it across the street.
Looks like you're looking at the camera.
He was probably talking to me, so I was listening to what he had to say.
Are you able to monitor the cars that are coming in the traffic when you're looking at the camera?
No, but I'm assuming that the cross light was on. But no, if I'm looking at the camera, I wouldn't particularly be paying attention to traffic. It takes my attention away.
Let me ask you this. You've been doing this job, I understand, for about a year now.
You have to say.
Oh, yes,
How many parking meters are there in the middle of roads?
in the what?
In the middle of the crosswalk, how many parking meters are there?
In a crosswalk,
Yeah.
there's none.
You've never encountered a meter in the crosswalk?
No.
No. But they still follow you in the crosswalks?
Yes.
Closely, too. Let's look at page 3. And again, could you please describe who's in this picture and what it is that you observed?
Well, it's Graham Colson. I'm not sure what I'm doing there, but it says I'm working on a meter.
Do you find it distracting to have Graham leaning over you like that?
Wait, this number 3?
Yes, and that's typical.
Yes,
of
number 3,
Graham.
leaning over, standing straight.
Let
You're
me
looking at
rephrase.
the wrong picture.
I'll rephrase the question. Based on Graham Colson's positioning in that picture, do you find that distracting when you're trying to do your job?
Yes, and that's typical of him. He will stand very close and wait for me, even when I'm doing a ticket, because he wants to put these papers on. So he'll stand very close to me and just stand there and wait for me to finish.
Do you find it uncomfortable to have people stand that close to you when you can't monitor them?
Wait, there's been no testimonies to how close he is to her in that picture.
I'd be happy to clarify. How close is Mr. Colson to you in that picture?
Just a few feet away.
Do you consider Mr. Colson to be standing over you in that picture?
Yes.
Do you find it uncomfortable to have somebody stand over you when you can't look at them or monitor what they're doing?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's turn to page 7. Again, can you please describe to me what it is that you're seeing in this picture and to the extent you can identify who?
I remember this, but I wasn't actually witnessing this because I was inside the library. but this individual had come out of the library as I was going in and asked me if, how many quarters I would give him to punch the defendant. And I told them to please stop with it, don't get themselves in trouble, and it wasn't worth it.
So what is this a picture of? If you could be specific.
It's a man holding his fist up toward James Cleveland.
Is this a picture of a fight?
Well, I know he got punched that day, but like I said, I wasn't outside to witness it. When I came out later and walked down the street, James came up to me and said that man hit me.
Have you seen any of the defendants get into fights with members of the public?
Yes.
And who have you seen get into fights with members of the public?
Well, there's been a few incidences. There's this one. And this guy continued to follow us for a while because he was, Graham was wearing a Robin Hood hat, and this guy kept saying he was gonna steal the hat off his head.